Hi and welcome to this wrap-up video, let's call it. It's been an amazing month and look at this, 31 tangles, tangled in 31 days during the month of October for the Inktober challenge. And here I am, done with all the tangles, shading, highlighting, everything. I can't even imagine what it would be like if I would not have done all the shading and highlighting on daily basis. I wouldn't have had the strength to do it, all at once. After all the tangling is done, it would be impossible. So now, it's kind of difficult to do this, everything that I would normally do if I was tangling at home, because a big part of tangling, especially when I'm in the mood for it. So of course, it's not every day that you are in the mood for giving extra touches to whatever you draw or create. But when I do, I would spend probably quite a lot of time adding these little adding love and attention to certain parts of the drawing. And what I will for sure do is add some more highlights and shades to the letters and numbers. I want to make them look a little bit more 3D. So you can see how I'm applying shade almost over the black part and then just bringing it a little bit more towards the top. And this is when it comes to the bottom part. It's easy to add shades when you have objects that are like, or shapes that are horizontally placed. But what if it's placed vertically? Then you just choose a side. Let's say that I would add it to the left side. And once you do that, be consistent with it. So these are the first two letters, and I would obviously do it for all of the letters. Or I will do it, but I will not do it, all of it, while I'm filming and, talking, because I think you would get bored as well. It's not so interesting once you see what the process looks like. If you feel like it, you can do it alone. So this is one thing that I would do, start with the shades. And of course, oops, I see that my phone is tilting. I'm sorry about that. Didn't happen before. This one is quite big and heavy, so I think that it's just too much for this phone holder that I have. So once you are done with the shades, you can add the highlights too. And of course, if shades are on the bottom and on the right side, then you would add highlights to the top and to the left side. So it's the opposite side. And you might need to sharpen your pencil to do that. Because I have this very dark black aura, I can also shade with this not so sharp, or blend the shades with the blending stump that's not so sharp, because there's enough space that I can also blend over that black part. Trying to make decisions about this, because shading is a little bit more deliberate. The lines are also deliberate, but shading requires strategy. Now you can see these 2.5, 3 letters that I already shaded and highlighted, and you can see how they have much more of a 3D appearance. At least I hope so. At least I hope that I managed to do that. And then of course with your white jelly roll you can come in and add some more bright highlights. So this is one thing that I would do. I think that those letters look really quite cool and quite 3D. And I will do that. It's the same thing that I did here with this fescue. It was, I don't know, at somewhere before the middle, I think, of the whole project. And I don't know why, but it seems to me that this swarm that I added here needs a little bit more shade. So just, you know, looking at this, whether it's the details, whether it's the drawing as a whole, and trying to decide, is there something else that I would like to add? Is there something else that the drawing needs from me? And another thing I was like contemplating is adding a little bit more yellow. And yellow is not my favorite color. In fact, it's one of my least favorite colors, and I'm like trying to challenge myself to use more yellow. So I did this Inktober lettering and then the year in yellow. And I think maybe some of the background textures might use some yellow too, and I'll just try. So maybe I will regret this decision. This is the back of this mandala builder tool, and you can see that I use it as a palette sometimes, and I'm just going to apply some of this. It's a koi brush pen. It's water-based, and I will basically use it as a watercolor. So I have this laminated piece, so you can use any kind of plastic, or you could use a palette as well. And then I will just come in with my water brush, which already has some water here in the barrel, and I'm going to apply a little bit of this yellow hue to some of these background textures. And you know, now it's also wet, so yes, it does look like it has some more depth, which is normal because it's wet. Once it dries, it will be a little bit more maybe grayish. The yellow will not be so yellow, and it will be a little bit lighter. And I will just add it in some of these spaces. And as I said, hopefully I will not regret it. I will not go all the way, so you can see how I'm kind of starting next to the line and then removing away from that without adding any more colors, so that I end up having no color at all when I move away from it. So now here I have the swarm, I have the ambler background and some yellow. I think it will look cool. It will add a little bit more life to it all and more dynamic. It's like another point of visual interest, maybe something to observe. And I guess, or I hope that it will be a nice detail to have. So mostly I will be using it on these like background textures. maybe I can also add some to these little houses. It's like enhancing shades with something that you would maybe not typically use for enhancing shades. And then I'm just looking for other places that could use some yellow. Again, looking for these background textures. So wherever I either used these lines for the background or another tangle that's mostly composed of four lines like Ambler, this is a nice place to add some yellow. And as you know, some of these spaces are inked in with black ink, so that's not something that where you could use yellow. It will not change a thing because it's still black. So I'm just adding some more here on the palette, and I'm doing it like this and not directly putting yellow to my drawing, because it's easier to control the amount of yellow that you add if you don't directly use it. I think that this should get some more shade. I don't know why I forgot it. I must have been in a hurry or not mindful enough when I was adding swarm. But it's not too late to fix that. I just don't want to go over the place that I just wet with my brush, water brush. But now that I added some gray, okay, this now looks better, I think. And maybe I will add the yellow in these nooks between the mucas, so it's in these nooks are like empty spaces that are integral part of the tangle, but still I kind of do like what the yellow brings to this space. It doesn't need to be, you see, it doesn't need to be complex. And here I'm yellowing, making the Ambler yellow. I will not go all the way to the left where it's really bright white. I want to keep it like that. But I have quite a lot of yellow on the right side, so I wanted to add some here too. Another potential place for yellow is this, and this is also just empty spaces between mucas or other shapes of the tangle. So I could have maybe also added a little some texture with maybe just lines, but I didn't for some reason, and I think it looks cool. It's like there's some setting sun in the background of this all. And okay, we might know that there's none, but still it really looks, I think, lively with the yellow in the background. Trying to decide where else I would add it, and I'm thinking about adding just a little bit below the whole lettering part. I think I need some shades here on this little piece of stem right here. And another candidate for the yellow can be the part that's above the letters. So I deliberately didn't use too many tangles here. I left more negative space, although is it really negative if it's shaded quite heavily? But it's like free space between the tangles. I need some more yellow. Oops, I'm sorry about this noise. I don't know if it makes your skin crawl. And I will just add this yellow on top of the letters between these tangles. It's quick as well. You don't need to waste too much time on it. And it, in my opinion, it surprisingly adds quite a lot of depth to the drawing. So maybe while I'm doing this very repetitive thing here, it's a good moment to just take time to thank everyone who has been following me this year. Some of you have been with me for 4 years already. Is it 4? It seems unbelievable, but I think that it's been 4 years. And I want you to know that I really appreciate your comments. I appreciate your messages. Sometimes it's really, I find it hard to believe how much impact you can have on somebody's life, or maybe not life, okay, on somebody's day, with sharing these just snippets of creative journey and thoughts about it. Because I think what it does, it kind of brings us closer to each other, even if we might be so far away from each other geographically. Ultimately, we are all the same under our skin, and it's nice when you can identify whatever's happening to you, your feelings about art or whatever, you know, the mistakes that we make, the things we go through, and when you know that you are not alone in that, it really helps. Sometimes with these, whether it's the workshops or, you know, these videos, it can be like a little nudge that can kickstart somebody's creativity if they maybe have been in a creative rut or whatever. So thank you so much for trusting me with your time and drawing with me. I think that I will add just a little bit more shade to this part on the right side where I have this swarm. Not too much. So I'm just adding some shade below these parts of the tangle. I'm happy with the way that this yellow turned out looking. And you know, when you decide to do something like that, you don't really know if it's going to look great or maybe you would be unhappy with it. I really stopped thinking about whatever I draw as something too precious to kind of mess up, because messing up is such a great way of learning things, and it helps you, even if you mess up, it helps you with your future decisions, and it's a great tool to just grow and learn. So I appreciate those oopsies and opportunities to learn from them. Well, cute, right? I'm happy with the yellow. I'm not sure about you, but I'm happy with what it looks like. I will now probably continue with the shading and highlighting of the letters and numbers, and then I will get back to you. Well, I think I might be done. I will have to just let you know that I have used this Sharpie Creative marker. It's quite thick, but it does leave a nice white and clean line. You could use this or Posca or some other kind of a paint pen. I used it to get these really bright highlights because I was struggling with my jelly roll, and I was also struggling with my General's pencil. I guess that it has to do with the background that was colored with a yellow marker and then blended with water brush. I don't know. Anyway, this is what I used, and I also enhanced some shades also on letters and numbers, which I like the way that they look kind of more 3D. They have a lot of volume now. I use this Copic Cold Gray 3, so it's a gray alcohol marker, which is something that I love to use to enhance shades and make them more dramatic. And that's it. Nothing else but just adding some volume to the letters and numbers, and with that I think I'm really done. And another thank you to everybody who either watched or drew with me or all of it. I will just share a few drawings that I did using these Inktober Tangles. This is the whole point of it. You learn a tangle and then you apply it to your drawing. So here's a little kind of mandala. It's map tangling. It's done on in my sketchbook on white khadi paper. So it's Maggie May tangle. And then you can recognize some of the tangles that we used on this. And I know that many of you saw it on social media, but here's Winterly, Xander, Nipa, and then what I do, the opposite side, the back side of Zentangle's tile with Zentangle's logo. And this is only tangles from Inktober that I decided to use one morning when I woke up and tangled for a good morning. So use these tangles, play with them, draw more, have fun with your creative practice. Don't overthink, don't beat yourself up, don't demand too much of yourself, don't compare yourself to the others. And you know, there's so much to say, but I hope that we covered it all during the last 31 days. And I look forward to seeing you again. I can't promise when it will be. I'm going away for a little trip, and then I will see. I'm working on some other things, projects. It's quite busy, but I hope to be back on YouTube quite soon. Have a lovely November and enjoy it. Bye.